For all ACCA students, the last part of the journey of becoming an ACCA affiliate or ACCA qualified is completing the P-level papers. So before you enter the classrooms itself, you need to be aware of what each paper comprises of and what is the approach you can take for these papers. So right now, I'm going to start a discussion about all the P-level papers and what it contains, what are some things you need to keep in mind, and the approach you can take as you start these P-level papers. Paper number 1, SBL, Strategic Business Leader. It's a 100 marks exam, 3 hours 15 minutes, 80 marks technical, 20 marks professional skills marks. Now it is a case-based exam. They give you a fictitious organization, an organization that does not exist in real life, and they ask you a lot of questions based on this because you are a strategic business leader. You're a business leader. So they ask you a lot of questions based on that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is there is a pre-scene material released 2 weeks before the exam. What is this pre-scene material? It is usually an explanation about the organization you're going to get in your exam to help students to understand about this organization and about the industry in which it is operating. Now, ACCA does not expect students to go into extensive research about this pre-scene material. They just need to read it and have an understanding about the organization before the exam. And don't worry, the pre-scene material is also given during the exam, so you don't have to mug it up or anything like that. Now, like I said, it's a case-based exam. So what is the approach for this exam? First is understand the case very well. Now, this comes with a lot of practice. One thing we know very well is when we start reading something, the attention span goes down as we approach more and more paragraphs. So a lot of practice is required here. Try to understand the case study as much as you can, not just for the sake of exam. Imagine you're a business leader and what you're reading about is your organization. So try to understand the scenario as detailed as you can because you need to apply your business models. Coming to that, make sure that all your business models knowledge is very good. Because if you forget the business models, you won't be able to apply it. So know these business models as detailed as you can. And also do your mock exams for SBL exam because like I said, it's a big case question. So to read this question, getting the information, analyzing it and writing something takes a lot of practice. So make sure you're practicing it in timed situations. So this is all I can tell you about the SBL exam. Second paper is SBR, Strategic Business Reporting. 100 marks, 3 hours 15 minutes. One thing you should remember is, this is the second paper that you're dealing with accounting standards. So by the time you reach SBR, your accounting standards knowledge must be very good. Remember, it will help you not just for your ACCA exams, but also when you go for interviews, the interviewees and your employers expect you to have a good knowledge about accounting standards. So make sure your accounting standards knowledge base as well as the depth is very good. Second is, make sure you're up to date with any changes in the accounting standards because that's very important. There are some situations in your exam where you should be aware of that. Now, next thing is, you should know how to analyze your financial statements, your SOFP, SOPL, cash flow statements. Make sure you know what all these things are about. It's a little more, application side than FR. In your financial reporting paper, you just had to make these. But in your SBR level, it's more into the interpretation and analyzing these financial statements. And as it is true for every paper, do lots and lots of practice. This is one of the papers that students attempt first in the P levels because they say it is easier to clear this because of the high pass rates. So make sure you master this paper by going through this approach and attending your classes properly. Now we are coming to the optional papers. The following information I'm going to share is applicable to the coming 4 papers, so I won't be repeating it for each and every paper. That is the format and the time. So you have 100 marks for all these 4 papers, 3 hours 15 minutes for all these 4 papers, 80 marks technical marks, 20 marks professional marks for all these 4 papers. Once again, I'll tell you, 100 marks in total, out of which 80 marks are technical marks, 20 marks are your professional marks, and it's 3 hours 15 minutes. Now, coming to the AFM paper, Advanced Financial Management. First thing to remember is, the things you're learning in this paper is what senior level managers are applying. So you need to enhance yourself to that level. Make sure you know your technical concepts very well, because do you know you are going to do things like investment appraisal, business valuation, risk management. All these complex scenarios is what you'll be handling in AFM. So make sure your technical concepts are quite strong, and also make sure you know how to apply them to real world scenarios. Now, as it is true for every paper, with practice you can actually be good at your financial models and quantitative methods, which is very much there in your AFM exam. So make sure you practice mock exams under timed conditions. Next paper, Advanced Performance Management, APM. Now, one mistake that many students do is, since the SBL business models and APM business models are very much similar, they actually do both the exams very similarly, which is very wrong. I'll give you one example, okay? SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats of an organization. In your SBL paper, you're actually expected to have an understanding of identifying this for an organization. What are its SWOT? But when it comes to APM, that's not enough. You need to know how to use the strengths, weaknesses, opportunity and threats to take a decision. You're a manager of an organization. The performance management lies in your hands. So you're expected to think like a senior level manager. It doesn't come in one day. You have to do lots of practice. And also, understanding the question verbs are very important for your APM exam. There is a huge difference between evaluate and explain, although they look the same. Explain is to, expand on a particular statement, but evaluate is perhaps mentioning its pros and cons. Next is the Advanced Taxation, ATX. It has many variants. Now, one thing to know is, I'll talk to you about the challenge as well as the good part about this paper. One challenge is, the syllabus is quite huge with a lot of tax laws. But the good part is, the exam level difficulty is lower. The exam question difficulty is lower than the other optional papers. So what is your approach? You should be very good with the technical areas. Like I said, there are a lot of tax laws. In fact, in ATX, you'll be looking at the overseas aspects of every tax considered in tax. So make sure your technical knowledge is quite good, because you might forget it, which will affect you applying that in the exam. So make sure you're good with your technical aspects. Also, make sure you understand the scenario. When your client is explaining a situation to you in the scenario, try to understand what is their concern, what is the problem that you should solve for them, what is the explanation they are asking from you, and think from the point of view of whoever you are in the exam. Are you a tax senior? Are you an intern? Try to see what your role is and try to adjust your language and professional tone accordingly. And time management is a big challenge in ATX, because like I said, there are a lot of laws. So for you to think and apply it in the exam might take some time. So make sure you're doing all the mock exams given to you in the practice platform with time, and you'll be able to tackle this problem of time management if you do that. So that's your approach with regards to your ATX exam. Next is your Advanced Audit and Assurance, your AAA paper. Make sure your AA paper is revised again for you, and also your SBR. Make sure you attend your SBR exam before your AAA exam, because it is very much helpful. And you're the AAA level. So auditing standards must not be a level of confusion for you. Make sure you're an expert in auditing standards as well as your accounting standards. And you should be in a position to make professional judgments about a scenario, as well as identify the risk factors from a scenario. It doesn't come by just reading one or two scenarios. Tons of practice will help you to identify these factors and now also write it in your exam. Now about writing, make sure your answers are not so textbooky. The person who is correcting your exam must not say, this is all just a lot of textbook knowledge. No. Make sure you can apply this to real life scenarios. It comes with practice as well as discussions with your faculty about your answers and your exam. Coming to the next point, connected to the next point, doing mock exams, which will then be evaluated by your faculty, is extremely important, because you need to get to know what are your problems when you write the exam. So make sure you take such feedbacks very seriously and apply it in your AAA exam. So I hope all these helped you understand the content of these P-level papers and the approach. Now don't worry, there'll be a detailed video on each P-level paper coming soon. If you have any more concerns, feel free to write in the comment section below. I'll give a summary of what we just discussed right now. Make sure you know about each paper before you approach your classroom first. Make sure you are attending classes with expert faculties, which is very much available at Lakshya. This will help you very much in achieving success in your P-level papers. So all the best. I wish you best of luck for your hard work and success. Thank you.